Saram, everyone. Welcome to today's special program, Living with a Loving God by Sister Geetha Mohanram. I will be your master of ceremony for this evening. My name is Sachin, Master Blaster Vijayan, and I'm also the master of ceremony for this evening. But I should really clarify that the real master is our Bhagavan Baba, and I am merely a adjudicator for this program. On behalf of the Manitoba and Saskatchewan Psi Centers, I welcome all of you to today's spiritual presentation program. And before we get started, I would just like to go over a couple Zoom etiquette rules and guidelines that you should follow. Um, those are to make sure to just please keep your mics mute when you're not talking for the entirety of the program. There will be a Q&A session after the after Sister Geetha Mohanram speaks for 15 or 20 minutes or so. During that time, we will have people write their questions in their um, chat box on Zoom, and then myself, I will be reading them out, and we will kind of go with that back and forth scenario there for the Q&A portion. And then we have to finish it off, we have a Sarva Dharma Bhajan and a closing and Arti to end today's afternoon program. Lastly, I'd like to say, once I told a joke over a Zoom call, and people said it wasn't even remotely funny. So, but okay, maybe I'll get some class for that. Maybe not. Okay, before we begin the main part of the program, a brief fact about the prairie provinces. In Manitoba and Saskatchewan, you really don't need a GPS. If you use it, it'll say turn right after 100 kilometers. But in reality, we all use our own GPS, which is our GPS is Baba, which is guidance provided by Sai Baba. So GPS guidance provided by Sai Baba. So now I'd like to turn this over to introduce Sister Ishwari Selvaraj, our regional president of the Prairie Provinces. Off to you, Sister Ishwari. Thank you.
Thank you. Om Sai Ram.
We're just going to do the invocation first.
Oh yes, sorry, I totally forgot. My bad.
That's what I thought.
Terrible planning. Okay, sorry. The program. Yes, we will start with the First Nations acknowledgement and a invocation prayer by our SSC students. Sorry about that.
Winnipeg is located on the original land of Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene people, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories, we acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to move forward in a partnership with Indigenous communities in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. Sarah.
Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurumi Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada Shuklam Baradaram Vishnum Shashi Varnam चतुर्भुजम् प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ओंकारं बिन्दुसंयुक्तं नित्यं ध्यायन्ति योगिनः कामदं मोक्षदं चैव ओंकाराय नमो नमः।
ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा।
नमस्तेऽस्तु महामाये श्रीपीते सुरपूजिते शङ्खचक्रगदास्ते महालक्ष्मी नमोऽस्तु ते।
कराग्रे वसते लक्ष्मी करमूले सरस्वती करमध्ये तु गोविन्दः प्रभाते करदर्शनम्।
त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव।
O God, be in my mind and in my thinking. O God, be in my eyes and in my seeing. O God, be in my ears and in my hearing. O God, be in my mouth and in my speaking. O God, be in my hands and in my helping. O God, be in my heart and in my loving. Sairam.
Sai Ram, what a lovely invocation video that was. A special thanks to our gurus and of course our students for a lovely invocation video, and the candid photographs of the students were very well thought of. Next, we'd like to again introduce, now we can introduce Sister Ishwari Selvaraj, our regional president, to give our welcome address. Thank you.
Thank you, Sachin. My humble pronouns at our beloved Swami's lotus feet. Loving Sairam to all of you. I feel very humble for having been given the pleasant task of welcoming all of you to this beautiful event today. Very warm welcome from Manitoba and Saskatchewan to dear sister Geetha Mohanram. All our center members are eagerly awaiting to listen to you. We have watched many of your videos personally and also as study circle material. In all your talks, what we found is you make us feel Swami's presence, and your passion for Swami is very touching and extremely motivating. On behalf of all of us here, I say that we are extremely fortunate to have you today amongst us. Special welcome to our Central Council members, Sister Preeti Mathur, Brother Sivanat Raja, Sister Sulo, Sister Preeti Grover. It's extremely happy moment that all of you are able to share your time with us today. Sai Center of Saskatoon has been waiting for the opportunity to have events at a regional level, and our Swami blessed us totally with that opportunity this time. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to our fellow sisters and brothers of Winnipeg Sai Center on behalf of Saskatoon. We are extremely grateful for this opportunity and do look forward to many more opportunities in the future. And it gives me so much pleasure to see so many of you having joined in the celebration today and participating as well. Heartfelt wishes and loving welcome to our sweet SSC children. We are so proud of them. We had a beautiful invocation, and we will have a lovely concluding prayer as well from our SSC students. And a very, very hearty welcome to our youth. Youth from Winnipeg Center has been the bone for us. Like we would like to acknowledge Sachin and Raghav and Niranjan for helping us through this program. And Sachin, you're extremely very good master of ceremony. I'm very happy to have you today, and I welcome each and every one of you to today's task. And your presence truly means a lot to us. Jai Sai Ram.
Sairam, thank you for that, Auntie Ishwari. Now, before we start the main program, I'd just like to mention that this program is being recorded and it is being displayed live on YouTube as well. So if you like, you can use the Zoom link or the YouTube link, which is given, distributed out. And now to introduce our main speaker, Sister Geetha Mohanram, we have Brother Uma Shankar, from the president of the Saskatoon Sai Center, to introduce our program chair. Thank you.
Okay, Sairam, our humble salutations at the lotus feet of our beloved Sai, our Lord and the Savior. Good afternoon and most loving Sairam to our SSC children, all the fellow devotees and guests who have joined us today. First, I sincerely thank Bhagavan for giving me the opportunity to introduce our guest speaker, Sister Geetha Mohanram, for today's session hosted by both Saskatoon and Winnipeg Sai Centers. This task of introducing our guest of honor and speaker is a great privilege, and I feel elated to have this opportunity. Sister Geetha Mohanram comes from a family of devotees that has been in Swami's service for more than 6 decades. Our granduncle Sesagiri Rao was Swami's personal attendant for more than 20 years. He was also the first priest at Prasanti Nilayam when it was built in 1950, He came to Swami in 1943. Her father, Dr. Padmanabhan, a renowned dental surgeon, was very dear to Swami and served him in various organizational capacities at Whitefield, Bangalore till 2008. Many of you might recognize him as the person who worked behind Swami during darshans in Whitefield. Sister Geetha Mohan's mother, Kamala Padmanabhan, was appointed by Swami to be the SSC coordinator for Karnataka state in India, which she served with distinction for 25 years. She was specifically chosen by Swami to be part of the original group that developed the first SSC Balvikas program curriculum under the direction of Bhagwan himself. Sister Geetha's family was one of the 9 families that started the first Akhand Bhajan in 1945 under Swami's direct guidance. They conducted Akhand Bhajan almost for 25 years until Swami declared it into a global event. Sister Geetha, who was named by Swami, had the incredible fortune of enjoying and experiencing the multifaceted personality of our Divine Lord from her birth. While Swami graced their home in Bangalore with his presence regularly, all her holidays and festivals were spent with him in Puttaparthi. At the tender age of 15, Sister Geetha was selected by Swami to be the SSC teacher, and in addition, she delivered lectures under EHV, Education in Human Values program, to high school teachers throughout the state of Karnataka in India. In 1978, her marriage to Mohanram was performed in the divine presence of Swami at Whitefield, and their twin sons, Barun and Arun, were born in 1981 and named by Swami 7 years later. Swami directed the family to go to the USA, and they settled in Maryland, Washington, D.C., where Mohan worked in NASA satellite operations. Sister Geetha taught kindergarten children in a private school for 17 years and was awarded the best teacher of the year for 5 years in a row. At Swami's command and with his blessings, Sister Geetha has been sharing her most intimate and wonderful experiences of her beloved Lord in different parts of the world, including USA, UK, Canada, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, South Africa, Australia, Mauritius, and India for the past 25 years. In November 2005, on the occasion of Ladies' Day, during Swami's 80th birthday celebration, she was chosen by Swami to address the distinguished gathering in his divine presence at Prasanthi Nilayam. Sister Geetha is a woman of virtue and simplicity, and she is a living inspiration to her children and all of us. It is now an absolute honor and pleasure to invite Sister Geetha to guide us through her talk on living with a loving God. Please join me in welcoming Sister Geetha to present her most exciting and memorable experiences with our beloved Lord Swami. And now I leave this floor open to Sister Geetha. Over to you, Sister Geetha. Sai Ram.
Mukam karoti vachalam panghum langhayate grim yatkrupa tamaham vande paramananda madhavam. My humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved and ever-present Swami. Before I continue, can you all hear me? If somebody can give me a...
Loud and clear.
Yeah, very good.
Okay, thank you. My humble pranams again at Swami's beloved feet, who is always there with all of us. And Sai Ram to all of you, brothers and sisters who have made the time today to join this program, so that together we can all think of our beloved Lord and really thank him for having brought us to him. I really do want to thank you, first and foremost, Sister Ishwari, for organizing and inviting me to this program, Brother Ruma Shankar, Niranjan, and of course, my very own Kumudini, who called me up several months ago to ask if I could speak. She's related to me, and I was honored to accept this invitation when she asked me. Very happy to be with all of you today. The topic that Brother Umashankar chose for me today when we were talking about what we should be doing he said, since you have been with Swami for so many years, how about speaking about living with a loving God? You know, I definitely had the wonderful privilege of being born into a family that came to Swami long before I was born. So that was a wonderful, wonderful thing for me to have been born into a family where they were already rooted in their devotion to Swami. So since my babyhood, my childhood, this was the Lord that we worshipped. He was in our prayer room, in my parents' prayer room. But the beauty of all of this, along with the Lord Rama's and Lord Krishna's picture, there was Swami's picture. But this Lord came to our house quite often in those days of my young days, and almost every month or every other month for dinner, and spent a lot of time with us. And it really was a wonderful thing to sort of be a child and, very lovingly learn a lot of things in Swami's physical presence. My earliest memory of Swami is also when I was a small child. When he used to come home, as was the tradition, of course, he would have dinner with us and go back. And we children would all wait till Swami had finished his dinner, and he would leave after coming and speaking to everybody, maybe give a small little discourse, a private one, with just the family members who were, and other friends that my parents had invited. There would be about 80 or 100 people sitting in the house, and Swami would very lovingly come and say, Yemi Samacharam, what news? And then he would ask somebody to ask a question. And one question was enough to make Swami speak for quite some time. And I listened to many wonderful gems that Swami later on, it has all come out in the discourses and written in the Satya Sai Speaks, translated by Sri Kasturi. But when we were young, those things were still not there, but we listened to all these gems sitting in my father's living room, and Swami would speak for quite some time. And then after speaking to all the family members as well, he would later come inside and the dinner would be set up for him. My aunt, my mother, the elders of the family, few of them, 2 or 3 of them would serve him, and he would have dinner. And he would insist that some people be given food while he is eating, because it was already late. But nobody would want to eat, obviously, because they were afraid that they would miss Swami if he leaves, and Swami hardly ate for 5 minutes. So after Swami had had his dinner and left to go back to Vrindavan, everybody would have their dinner. But for me as a child, I remember several occasions when my cousins and I, we were young, we were 4 or 3 years old, and Swami in the middle of his conversation would tell us, you go inside and have something to eat, because you've not had anything to eat. And Swami would come around 6:30 in the evening or 7 and stay till about 9:30. So it would be a long day for young children, and we would not have had anything except after lunch, maybe a small snack before Swami came. But Swami would always make sure that we children were okay. And he would always say, go inside and have something to eat and come. So we would go very reluctantly, because we did not even want to leave Swami's presence even for a second. And we would go quickly and have something and come back and sit down, maybe an apple or something. But my first memories are some of those very sweet memories of Swami, really making sure that we were not totally hungry while he was spending time and talking to the elders and the others in the group. So that was one of my memories. But the really wonderful learning memories, and of course this itself is a learning one, where Swami used to take care of the children first and make sure that they were all okay. Of course, many of you, I'm sure, brothers and sisters, are Balavikas gurus, and you're all parents. We always take care of the children first. But having learned from that, the many wonderful things that I was able to just observe being in Swami's presence at that moment was sweetness itself. But as I grew older, I realized the many, many lessons that came with that sweetness. Everything is about Swami's sweetness. I'm sure all of you, of course, some of the younger generation now may not have seen Swami, but many of you who have seen Swami, you know the sense of joy that you felt when you had his darshan in Puttaparthi. As soon as he walks out, your heart just fills with joy. That is why I think in the Madhurashtakam, it was described so many years ago. Everything about Lord Krishna is Madhuram. Everything is sweetness. Adharam Madhuram, Vadanam Madhuram, they say. His face is beautiful and it is sweetness itself. His hands are beautiful. His smile is beautiful. And so also we feel about our Sai Krishna too. When we see him, everything becomes sweetness. We forget all our worldly problems, all our worldly involvements, and we become immersed in it. And as I was growing up, I watched Swami really spread this sweetness in the way that he was loving. He was not only just sweetness in the way he behaved, the way he talked to us, the words were so sweet, his gait was so sweet, as we say in Madhurashtakam again, but his behavior, the way he dealt with people was sweetness itself. I remember one particular incident actually. When I was a little bit older, I was probably in my teen years. This was Swami's 50th birthday. And Swami had built new buildings, the West Prashanti and the East Prashanti buildings, which you have all seen in Puttaparthi. And he gave some rooms. He had distributed some rooms for all of us. He had given us those rooms, and he had given them actually as gifts to my parents also for his 50th birthday. And the sudden news came the previous evening through my father, who interacted very closely with Swami, that Swami would actually come to the West Prashanti building and actually open the rooms, so to speak, inaugurate the rooms. So we were all so very excited. And all of the buildings, there were just the two buildings built then, just the West Prashanti, the East Prashanti and the South Prashanti, not even the whole of the South Prashanti line that you see now. And Swami was going to go and inaugurate this during his 50th birthday celebration. It was a day or so before, I think, the day before the birthday or the day after. I cannot recollect right away. And as soon as we all got the news, it was so exciting, and everybody went and brought special flowers, extra flowers from outside, and decorated their rooms as the best they could. They put rangoli, the design outside the room. They tied all the green mango leaves to each one, all of us who had been given the rooms. And in the last room, there was one lady called Lalitamma in the same row as us. We used to call her last room Lalitamma because Swami had said, give her the last room. So when they came and announced who was getting which room, she was Lalitamma who got the last room. So she was called last room Lalitamma. So we were all ready. She was a very devout lady. She had her daughter with her. And she was so excited that Swami would be actually coming to her room as he came to each of the rooms. So she prepared some Mysore pak. It is a sweet that is made. And she made that Mysore pak very lovingly for Swami. She got all the flowers and everything. And then the following morning, she saw that many of us in that row had tied a white ribbon or a pink ribbon across the door, and everybody had a pair of scissors all decorated, ready for Swami to cut the ribbon when he came. So this Lalitamma had not thought of that, and she felt very bad. Everybody has a ribbon, I don't have, and she wanted to go outside. And in those days, there were not so many shops in Puttaparthi. If you go out of the gate, where the Ganesha gate is, many of you are familiar, therefore I'm describing it. If you go out of that gate, there were just a few shops. There were not this many shops, and ribbon and such things were not easily available. But she wanted to go, and she wanted to bring and tie a ribbon or at least something that was decorated, because she saw that every room had this. So she went, and her daughter was left behind, and she went. All of us, I think my mother and others said, no, don't go, because we don't know what time Swami will come. And it is quite a distance. If you remember, from West Prashanti, you had to cut across and go. Of course, the Sai Kulwant Hall was not there. It was just a sandy area, but you had to cut across, go all the way out, buy it, come back, all in a small time given in that time that Swami was going to come. And already you could hear the music going on and everything. But she was determined. She said, no, I will just really run and go. And she went, and she had gone maybe for about 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And sure enough, Swami came and he started to go to the lower rooms. And we were on the second floor, then the first floor, and he started to come to the second floor. And as he was coming, we all knew, and we were, of course, very much interested in our own thing. Swami came and he cut the ribbon of each of the rooms. He went inside, sat down for a few minutes with the chair that had been decorated. In each room, he went, sat down, and maybe people offered him something. You just take a small sip of whatever they had offered, milk or badam milk or kheer or something. And he came, and our room was also inaugurated. He went to the next room and he went towards the last room. There was nobody there because in the meantime, the daughter also had run looking for the mother because she knew that Swami had come. So Swami inaugurated one row of rooms and started to go towards the other set of rooms, by which time the mother and daughter came running, and she had came, and of course by that time Swami had already inaugurated our section and he had walked away, and we all felt very bad for her. She was a widowed lady and she was there with her daughter, and this was her one opportunity to see Swami so at such close quarters. She was not one of those people who had received many interviews or anything like that. And when she realized that Swami had moved away to the next section of rooms on the same row, she was almost in tears. And she just stood near the door, very sort of dejected that she had lost not only the opportunity for this ribbon and all that, but she had lost that most precious opportunity of seeing Swami at such close quarters, taking a Pad Namaskar. And as she just stood there with tears in her eyes, Swami had moved away. And of course, other people said, we told you, why did you run? What does it matter if there is no ribbon? You should have just, people, sometimes when we are not okay, people make you feel worse. So everybody in the process of trying to give her advice was making her even worse. And Swami walked away. But he had gone 3 or 4 rooms and he finished those set of rooms, and the steps are in the middle. Many of you may have seen the West Prashanti or South Prashanti rooms. Swami started to walk back towards the steps, but he climbed up again and he came all the way back and said, Lalitamma, where did you go? And she just started to sob, and in her agitation, she didn't give Swami anything. She didn't even ask Swami to come inside the room. But Swami said, shall I come in your room? And he came inside and he sat down, and she completely forgot to offer him the sweets that she had prepared with so much love and bhakti since the previous day to give Swami, and to light the lamps or any of the things that everybody else has done. And as Swami came and sat down, and we were all standing outside watching what's going on, one at a time, Swami said, don't you want to light the lamps? This is a new room. And don't you want to give me the sweets that you prepared? So then she was all agitated, ran inside, brought the Mysore Pak, gave it to him, took a small piece and just put it into his mouth. And he said, how does all these ribbons and other things matter? When I myself am coming to your house, these other outside paraphernalia is not so important, Bangaru. He said, blessed her, gave her vibhuti, really inaugurated her room, spent more time in her room actually. And he went back to continue to the next floor and to the other buildings. So many buildings Swami actually inaugurated for that 50th birthday. When we saw that, we were all very excited. How nice. And everybody said, oh, you're really nice. Your prapti was very good. Swami really came back. You were really fortunate. But all this. But later on, as the days went by, when one introspects on it, what was it? One has to ask. There were so many of us, all of us had done whatever we could. But this lady's intense devotion, her intense yearning that she had missed out her opportunity, her deep prayer for Swami just brought him back all the way to her room. I remember this particular incident with a lot of sweetness actually, because the joy in that lady's face, I have never forgotten. This was Swami's 50th birthday. We have celebrated so many birthdays, but the joy in her face, I can never forget that. It just lit up. And she was so full of joy, she did not even offer Swami to come inside the room. But Swami himself said, I will come inside. I will sit down. Give me the sweet that you had prepared. Why are you forgetting? And she had even gone and bought the ribbon and the scissors. He just blessed it and he left the room. So this particular incident somehow came to my mind today because the subject brother had chosen was living with the loving God. Of course, I was very fortunate to see him at close physical proximity. But seeing him that way, there were so many things that one could learn from what Swami was doing. And that was the lessons that I watched and I heard and I grew up with. One of the incidents, and I'm sure many of you may have heard me on other occasions, and if you have, I apologize for repeating myself. Living with Swami or being in his close proximity, constantly being in his presence was Madhuram itself, was sweetness itself. It was like the nectar. Once in the interview room, somebody said, Swami, being with you is as sweet as honey. And Swami said, no, not as sweet as honey even, as sweet as Amrutam, Swami said. Amrutam is the ultimate sweet thing. It is as sweet as Amrutam, Swami said. So in his close proximity, I did enjoy some of that Amrutam by watching this divine Lord and Master. To me, he has been many things. He has been a very sweet and loving mother who has taken care, like I said in the beginning of my talk, who has taken care of whether I had eaten or not, whether I had some water to drink or not. Once I remember he scolded my mother because I was not eating. In those days in India, when we went to school there used to be a carrier wala, a dabba wala as we used to call. He used to bring the lunch for us at lunchtime. He would pick it up at my mother's place and he would bring it to the school. And I was a very picky eater. And I would just open the box, and because everything was cold or everything was mixed up, I would not eat it. I would just close the box back and send it back. It was those typical steel carriers that we used to get in India with 2 or 3 containers with a handle. And he used to bring it, and used to bring it all the way from our house to our school. And being South Indians, if my mother had put some sambar or something like that, it would all get mixed up and very mushy, the vegetable. And I used to be very picky. I would look at it and not eat it and send it back. And I would starve the whole day. By the time I came home from school at 4:30, I would be very hungry. And I remember once Swami called my mother and said, why is your daughter so thin? I must have been in 3rd grade. And my mother, of course, he was her divine mother too. He said, she doesn't eat anything. She complained about me. She doesn't eat anything, Swami. She always complains. She says, this got mushy, that got cold. This became all dry. Something she will complain and send the food back. She doesn't eat anything, Swami. You must tell her. So Swami very sweetly said, I know she doesn't eat, but why don't you send her the food that doesn't get all mixed up? And Swami even gave her the menu. Why don't you send her wangi bath? Why don't you send her upma? Why don't you send her vegetable bath? Things like pulao, those kind of things that don't become all mushy and crushed and soggy when she opens it. When she sees that she won't feel, oh, I cannot eat this, she will at least eat a little bit. So that was the Swami who always took care of everything, the small things. Mother to me and mother and advisor to my mother as well. So this loving Swami, this loving God was many things to me. He was my mother, always taking care and making sure I was okay. A little bit of a strict and a father who disciplined me too whenever necessary. It was very necessary many times. For me, I think I was a troublesome child. And then as I got older, he became a good friend with whom I could say something that I really wanted to say. And of course, through all of this, the thread of divinity, the loving Lord was intertwined in all of these different relationships. I remember, you may have heard me speak of this. I started out to tell this story and I kind of detoured a little bit. But there was one lady called Konamma in Puttaparthi. Sister Kumudini may remember. She was there and she had left her family. She didn't have any much of a family. And somehow she had come and she lived in Puttaparthi. She didn't have anybody. Her family had not treated her very well. She had no place to go. And she had come and Swami had given her a little bit of place in Puttaparthi. And of course, Swami would say, you cannot just come and live here in Puttaparthi. You must do something. Some work you have to do in the ashram. What will you do? She was a village lady, no education, could not read or write anything, but she was spiritually, she had wisdom. So the job that she said, Swami, I will bring hot water for you and I'll clean the dishes after your lunch and dinner and after every meal. This was the job that she took up. So every day, the hot water would be ready, that she used to keep it ready for Swami, for his bath and everything. You must remember, this is Puttaparthi of old days, when there was not any electricity. Swami's building was lit up with a generator. So this hot water and all had to be physically boiled and brought into a Swami's bathroom in the beginning, from heated up with firewood. So that was the job. She would get up at 2:33 in the morning and keep the water ready for Swami's bath. That was one job. And the second job, every time Swami, when he finished his breakfast or lunch or dinner, she would be the person to go and she would take his plate and everything and wash all the dishes. Now, because of this particular job that she chose, she was the person who would see Swami as soon as his food was over, when everything, she got namaskaram, was able to touch his feet, and all of the food that was there, Swami would serve her prasadam directly right after his lunch or dinner. So she had the unique opportunity to receive the prasadam directly from Swami after every meal. And he would say, Konamma, you taken it. She was a poor lady, and Swami would make sure that whatever food that had been brought to Swami from Swami's own family, Swami's mother and Swami's sister's family used to bring the food from Puttaparthi, where they lived, from the village. My aunts and my mother and all of these people also used to cook dishes. So this was the food that was offered to Swami in those days for breakfast, lunch and dinner. And she was there. And Swami used to give her two saris. One for Navaratri, that is during the Dasara holidays, and one for his birthday. 2 saris a year. And she was in a small little room, and this was her job. She didn't have anybody. I think she had some family. Nobody cared much about her. She had left everything and she had surrendered to Swami. So we used to see her. She was a part of us. None of us gave her much thought because she did not belong to any of the important families of any kind. She was there. We were used to her. Of course, we thought she was very privileged. She cleaned everything for Swami. Nobody gave it much thought. One particular weekend, when my father and I and my mother and my brother, we had gone to Puttaparthi. We used to go on some weekends. My father had a small standard Super 10 car in those days. I'm talking about the early 60s, 62, 63, something like that. So we used to go on a Saturday early morning and stay there whole of Saturday, and Sunday after Swami's darshan and lunch, we used to leave to come back to Bangalore. In those days, the journeys were difficult. It used to take more than 6 hours or 7 hours to reach Bangalore because the 22 kilometers between Prashanti Nilayam and Penakonda, there were hardly any roads. The car would just dip, and these are the bullock cart roads. So we used to come. So that particular time, when we went, Swami finished his morning darshan and everything. And suddenly, around lunchtime or so, he sent word for my father. And my father went to the building, to Swami's room. There it was not hardly any people in those days. We used to be in that South Prashanti area. There used to be only 8 rooms. So in one of those rooms, we used to stay. This is not Swami's 50th birthday when so many buildings were built. I'm talking about 60s when there were no buildings. Only 8 rooms were there. One was my grand uncle Sheshagiri Rao lived there. One was Professor Kasturi's room. So there were 8 rooms like this. So suddenly Swami just called. Swami many times used to come on the balcony of his room. If you are all familiar, just to give you an idea where that is, and not in the front where we all sit now in Sai Kulwant Hall, but on the back side where the ladies enter the mandir. And Swami's room is on the left-hand side upstairs, and there is a balcony. Now they have covered it up with all those little small decorations of gopuram and all that. But in those days, it was just a square bungalow, and there was a long corridor which was like a balcony. And many times Swami used to come on that balcony, stand in the back, and call out to us. Many times we would be outside the room. The rooms were very small, so the rooms were only used for cooking our lunch and dinner. We used to be outside on the sand all the time, and we used to sleep under the eucalyptus trees there. So Swami many times used to come on the balcony and call. So I think I was playing with my cousin or something. Somebody was there and Swami said, call your father. So I went inside and called my father. He came running out. Swami said, come here. Went upstairs. And Swami said, see, Konamma is very sick. So you take her to Bangalore. I think at that time, the general hospital was there, but it didn't have many facilities to do any surgeries or anything. They used to just treat the general this thing in those days, in the early 60s. So he said, you take Konamma immediately now to Bangalore. It was right after Bhajan or something like that. And she's very sick. You take her to Bangalore to the doctor, he said. So we were all taken aback. Immediately, if you have to leave, because it takes almost 7 hours. Swami had just finished darshan and whatever few interviews that he had given, and he called my father. So my father said, okay. He said, do you know where Konamma lives? You send Kamalamma, that is my mother. Send her there and get her ready and you take her, he said. And then he said, let Kamalamma and my brother, Jagadish, let them come by bus. The Geetha, that is me. I was still very young. And you can come in the car. He said, you take Konamma to Bangalore. She's very sick. She has to leave immediately. So we went to her room and she seems to be in excruciating pain. She couldn't even talk. She was in tears. She was an elderly lady. She must have been in her early 80s maybe, and very kind of very reticent about having to tell her problem. She was saying, no, I'm not going anywhere. If I'm going to die, let me die in Prasanthi Nilayam. I'm coming. We had to tell her, no, Swami has told us that we have to take you to Bangalore. Please come. And quickly my mother took 1 or 2 saris of hers, put it in a bag, and somehow we got her into the car, and we were about to leave in about few minutes. In those days, if you have to leave, you have to carry water and everything. Nothing was available on the road. Just as we were getting ready, I still have the image. Suddenly, Swami coming from the back side of that mandir door where the ladies entered, coming there, and he was carrying one black bag. And he was suddenly came out in a hurry with a black bag and gave and said, Padmanabh, I will also come with you. This is to my father. You cannot take her by yourself. She may not survive. I will come with you. So we are even more taken aback. Swami wants to come in my father's car. We said, okay, Swami. And Swami handed his bag. It was put into the trunk of the car. Swami and my father in the front seat, myself and Konamma Garu in the back seat. We sat and Swami said, you people take the bus and come. He told my mother. And we left. This is right after the morning bhajan session, probably around 11:30, 12 or something like that. It takes about 7.5 hours to go. And the road, there was no road. It was basically a bullock cart road, which people had put mud and it had rained heavily also. So as we went, there were such huge potholes. Every time the car went into the pothole and came, this poor lady was in acute pain. Really acute pain, and she did not want to scream or make any sounds and disturb Swami, who was sitting in the front seat. And as the car went in and out, she would say Sai Rama, and she would say Sai Rama very softly, and Swami would turn around, materialize Vibhuti and put it on her Konamma. Just a little bit more time, we will reach Bangalore. And like a mother to her, to this elderly lady, Swami was much younger. He kept telling her, as though he's telling a child, don't worry, we will reach there very soon. And as we are going up and down with this lady, there used to be small creeks, muddy creeks there, and the car got stuck in one of those things. And normally, if my mother and my brother is there, we used to give the car a push and the car would take off. But this time it was only my father and Swami, and I was a small girl in the back seat. And my father turned to look at me. I quickly jumped out, but I cannot push the car. He has to hold the steering wheel. And Swami, this sweet Swami, got out of the car. I will push, Padmanabh. No, Swami, we will push. And my father got out with one leg inside, one leg outside, trying to push the car with his hand on the steering wheel. And Swami just coming to the back of the car and with one finger giving the car a push. We were flabbergasted. He just pushed the car, just went move on with one finger. And Swami, you pushed it with one finger. And Swami smilingly said, for the Lord who has lifted the Govardhanagiri, what is this small car, Padmanabh? Sat down. So the journey went on. Several times the car would get stuck. Several times Swami. And in the meantime, assuring Konama, don't worry, we'll be there soon. And finally, after almost 2.5 hours, we have reached Penukonda. And there my father very hesitatingly said, Swami, very quickly I will get a dosa. There used to be a small dhaba, what we call restaurant, near the bus stand, where they used to make masala dosa. And while going to Puttaparthi, many times we used to stop there and we used to eat. And Swami used to tease us many times. How was the masala dosa in Penukonda? He always used to tease us also because we used to eat there. And hesitatingly, my father said, Swami, can I get you at least a dosa? Swami had left without even eating his lunch that day at 11:30 in the afternoon. Swami said, no, I will have coffee. And I remember this sweet Swami, while reassuring Konama, drinking this hot coffee from one of those glass cups that those people used to have, with his head covered, because in Penukonda, if they see his curly hair in the car, people will crowd and mob the car. So putting a small, my father used to put a shawl around his head so his hair is not seen. Drinking coffee really quickly and saying, come, let's go, let's not waste time. So after all this, I'm giving you so much detail. Can you imagine this loving Swami getting out of the car, muddying his robe, pushing the car, reassuring Konama, and we are all worried about her because she's obviously very sick. And she's very uncomfortable to give Swami so much trouble, so much devotion. And as we finally reached Bangalore, it was almost about 6:30. It was Saturday evening, 6:30. And my father said, where should we take? And Swami said, you go to Dr. Kalappa nursing home. Dr. Kalappa was a very well-known surgeon in Bangalore of those. He was a general surgeon. He had his nursing home in what we call in India a nursing home, which is a private hospital, and his house at the back. He was a Kurgi doctor. Kurg is a area in Karnataka, in India. Karnataka is the state. And he was quite a well-known doctor. So my father knew Dr. Kalappa quite well. My father was also a doctor. He was a dental surgeon. So he knew him. They were good friends. And Dr. Kalappa used to come to Swami sometimes, to Brindavan. My father used to bring him. He also used to come. He was not very regular because he was a very busy surgeon. So we arrived in his hospital at the portico, and we went and told the receptionist there that we have a patient in the car. Is Dr. Kalappa there? And she said, no, Dr. Kalappa has already retired for the evening. It was about 7 o'clock or 6:30. He's gone home, she said. But because my father knew him, he thought he will go and call upon Dr. Kalappa. And Swami got out. He said, come, Padmanabh, I will also come. So Konamagaru and I, we are sitting in the back seat. Swami comes out, knocks on the door, and you can imagine the doctor's surprise. He opens the door and he sees my father and Swami on his doorstep. And Swami says, Kalappa, come. I have brought you a patient all the way from Puttaparthi. You are a surgeon. You need to treat her. Come. So Dr. Kalappa comes immediately. The lady is taken out and taken in a stretcher into the OT. He says, he examines her, and Swami, this sweet Swami, is sitting on those hard benches of the waiting room. There was no cushions also. Those waiting rooms had hard benches, wooden benches. Swami is sitting there with my father, even though Dr. Kalappa is saying, please come and sit in my office. He said, no, you go and examine her. I will wait here. And Dr. Kadapa came out and said, Swami, it looks like she has burst an appendix. He looked totally shocked. He said, how did she travel for 7 hours in such extreme pain? It is just your miracle, Swami, that she has survived, but she needs surgery. Swami said, yes, I know. You do the surgery. So Dr. Kalapa very hesitatingly says, Swami, I have to call the anesthesiologist. Please remember, brothers and sisters, it may be even difficult for you all to imagine the days when there were no cell phones. You had to call the doctor at home. And Dr. Kalapa said, I'll call him at home, Swami, and see if he can come. He lives in this area called Coxtown in Bangalore. So Swami says, even if you call him, he's not there. He's in the club and he's very busy in the club. He will not be in the condition to come and give anesthesia to my patient. He said, you can all guess what that doctor was doing in the club. So Swami said, and he said, Swami, I need an anesthetist, Swami. I will try to call the club and see if they can find him. Swami said, no, he will not be in a condition to give this patient anesthesia. Come, Kadapa. I am the anesthesiologist, he says. And right in front of our eyes, we are all standing outside, materialize some vibhuti, put it on Konama's forehead, said, Konama, Norti, open your mouth. Put all the vibhuti and he says, Konama, don't get scared, go to sleep. I will be here when you wake up, he says. And Konama goes into a complete sleep. And Swami comes and sits down in the bench. You can imagine the condition of this poor surgeon, how much faith and surrender he has to have to operate on this patient who is supposedly sleeping with Swami's vibhuti. Swami said, don't worry, Kalapa, she won't wake up till your surgery is over. She will sleep. Go and do. Swami said, sent him inside. We are sitting outside, my father, myself, and Swami. My father says, Swami, please come, Swami. I will take you home or back to Brindavan building, Swami. You can't sit here. Let the surgery get over. I'll come back here and wait till everything is over and make sure she's okay. I will drop you. And this sweet Swami, you know what his answer was? He said, no, Padmanabh. Konama is from a small village. She doesn't understand all these surgery lights, the lights in the OT, the lights in the hospital room. And she doesn't know Kannada, the language in Karnataka. She only knows Telugu and she doesn't know anyone. She's a village woman. When she wakes up, she will get so scared, not knowing who all these people are, what are they saying to her, what happened to her. No. I told her I will wait till it is all over. I will sit here. And he sat there. And after the doctor finished the surgery, he came out and said, Swami, I'm done. Swami goes back with the doctor into the operation theater. Konama, wake up. How much are you sleeping? And she opens her eyes and she smiles at Swami and folds her hands to him. And he says, you're okay now? See, I'm right here. I will just go for a little while to Padmanabh's house. You rest here. These doctors are all very good. You will be okay. I'll come back with coffee for you in the morning, he says. And after she is taken to the room, my father brings Swami to our house. Remember, my mother is somewhere in Puttaparthi traveling by bus. She has to take a small bus to Bukkapatnam, then to Penukonda. From Penukonda, another bus to Bangalore City Market. She has not even come back. And we arrive in the house. There is no food there because we had all gone to Puttaparthi. And my father was the typical male of those years. He just knew where the kitchen was. He doesn't know anything else. He doesn't know how to make rice. He doesn't know how to boil water. He doesn't know anything. And he is looking at me, my 6-year-old or 7-year-old girl, 6.5-year-old girl, and says, we have to make something for Swami, how to make. And Swami laughingly comes into the kitchen. Padmanabh, I know you don't know how to cook, but I know how to cook. And that night, Swami said, I will make rice and miriyal charu. This is pepper rasam. We all give a lot of money and eat malagatani soup and pepper rasam in the restaurant. But Swami made the most wonderful pepper rasam. and Swami making the rice and the rasam. We had dinner. Swami said, no, whoever cooks, you must eat last, because you have cooked for somebody, they must enjoy. And after giving us pepper, rasam and rice, Swami also ate that and rested in our house that night. By that time, late in the night, my mother came back, and next morning, as soon as Swami came out of the room, she had everything ready, and Swami said, Kamlamma, if you give me some coffee, I will take it for Konamma to the hospital, and then from there, Padmanabh can drop me to Brindavan. So my mother made some coffee, and sure enough, as he had promised her, 6:30 in the morning to Dr. Kalappa nursing home, Swami arrived with her coffee. What a sweet and loving God. We do Narayana Seva, but do we do it with this much love? That is what the question arises in the mind. Do we do it in the way that pleases the people who are receiving what we are giving, makes them feel so happy that they have been looked after with so much love? Are we doing that? So when we see Swami doing certain things, at that moment we may enjoy that particular incident, but we have to introspect to see what it is that we can imbibe and become more and more like him. Because he says, ultimately, you and I are one. You have to become more and more like me. You have to become me. You have to become mine. Only then will you reach me, he says. So this was the Swami that I grew up, I saw, I watched. It was the most beautiful days of my life, all the way till I got married. Then he told me to come to USA. Then I had my children. Till the time that he even married my two sons in 2008 and 2010. Till such time, he has been my mother and my father, my friend and my guru, and of course, my Lord. But it was the most beautiful time. I'm sure all of you must be thinking how fortunate Sister Geetha is. She has gone through all of this. But I also want to tell you that it was also not very easy all the time. It was the most beautiful time of my life, but at the same time, it was not very easy. Because when you work with Swami, work for Swami, when you do Swami's work, Swami holds us at a very high bar. We cannot afford to be lax about what we learn from his proximity, what we learn from his words. So all of us are experiencing him in different ways. I may have had the good fortune, and I'm sharing those proximity, the days of those proximity with you. But I am sure if I ask each one of you separately, you will all have a moment when you have experienced him, a moment when you have felt his presence in your life. So like that, for me, I had him there all the time. But sometimes as a child, I would feel, oh, Swami would always say, don't worry, Bangaru, intane, kantane, jentane, ventane, eppudu untu nanu. I'm in your house, I'm behind you, I'm besides you, I'm always with you. I'm always going together with you everywhere. And we used to feel very happy when he used to say that. But sometimes there were moments when I also felt, why don't you go behind somebody else and be behind them, watching them, listening to them, correcting them instead of me? Because it was not easy. He was there, his love was wonderful, but I would also get very, very caught sometimes in doing something naughty or in doing something where it would require some disciplining from him for me. The one thing, though, I must say, my mother would always, every year, our dreaded moment, every 3 months actually in India in those days, we used to have midterm exams, what they used to call midterm exams, quarterly exams. So the report cards will come home after 3 months. And since Swami used to come every other month, somehow or the other, he would always come when these report cards have come home for the parents to sign. And of course, our parents would say, show your report card to Swami. Or Swami would say, reports card vachinda, did you get the report cards? And he would look at it and he would make remarks on some of the subjects that we didn't do very well. And in my report card, I did quite well with the subjects. But invariably, in the remarks portion, invariably, the teacher would have written too talkative, talks too much, something or the other. And my mother would say, Swami, she's all the time talking in the school. This was all when I was in elementary school. She's always talking, Swami. She always gets this type of a remark. Swami would correct me about everything, but he never said much about the talking. He would say, hey, when the teacher is talking, you don't talk. That's all. You have to listen when the teacher is talking. He would always say that. But he never really scolded me about this remark. Many years later, in 1996, when he wanted me to give a talk about my personal experience with Swami, when I went to Puttaparthi, I said, Swami, I gave a talk like you told me. They all said it was good. Something I told Swami. So Swami told my mother, see, he told me, see, I never scolded you when you got talkative remark. See, Kamlamma, that's why. She practiced for so many years being talkative. Now she's talking about Swami. That's why I didn't scold her at that time. So even for that, Swami made a little joke. But these report cards would come. And Swami would always be quite strict about some of the things. If we had not paid attention or if we had not done our work properly, he was always quite strict about these report cards. But I remember when I was getting ready to go, when I was getting ready to go to college, I requested him, I said, Swami, what should I do? And he said, no, you do early childhood development. You teach children and you go to that college. You know, there's a Institute of Home Science, it's called in India, in Bangalore. You join that college and you take early childhood development, he told me. Later on, we'll see, you take that. So I took the subjects as Swami had indicated and joined the college. And you know, nowadays, whenever I give any talk anywhere, sometimes they ask me to speak to the young adults. And the young adults always say, Auntie, we are so different as Sai devotees. It is so difficult with our peer group. We have so much pressure from our peers. All of these things, because we are different. We follow a slightly different path as Sai devotees. So the young adults always tell me this. But I was also young, believe it or not, once in a while. And we also had some of these kinds of problems in those days in India, in Bangalore. So when I was in college, I was very different from the rest of the students in the college because at a very young age, at the age of 15, Swami made me a Balavikas Guru. So I had to teach Balavikas. I was very young. I was only 15 when Swami told me to become a guru so that my mother could become the state coordinator for SSC. It's called Balavikas in India. So he made me the guru and made her the coordinator so that I could run the class that she had started in 1970, in the first class that Swami asked to be started in India in the early 1969, 70, 71 time frame. So when I joined college, I had already taught 2-3 years. I had taught Balavikas. I had also started to do education in human values training program that Swami had asked me to go with one lady, Mrs. Kalyani Sundaram, to train government school teachers in education in human values. So I had to do. So my life was very, very different from all my friends. My friends were all typical teenagers. They would come to college. Sometimes they would skip classes. Sometimes they would go to movies. Sometimes they would not come at all. Sometimes they wouldn't pay any attention in the class. They would read some book in the back. My life was quite difficult for me because if I did any one of the things, not even all the things, even any one of the things, if I did that, then I would have to answer to Swami, because remember, he is all the time saying, Intane, Kantane, Gentane, Ventane, Yappudu untunanu. I'm always there behind you. I'm watching. This was very nice when we really needed his help, when we didn't study very well and we wanted to write our exams and we say, Swami, I know you are here with me. Please help me. Please help me. Whenever we were in trouble, we want to call on him, but we don't want him to know everything that we do or everything that we think or everything. Because we forget that he's Hrudayavasi. We forget that, and we don't want him to know so much about us. And we think he doesn't know. So this is how, even though I had seen all the Mahimas and Leelas since my birth, this Maya or this illusion of the world, it makes us forget that he knows everything that we are doing. So I was in this college, and every now and then, whenever there was some boring class, or when there were some practicals that we had to take part in, several of my friends, our college was in an area called Majestic in Bangalore. And the funny thing was, just in the parallel road, or let us say 10 minutes from the college, that whole area was filled with movie theaters. So in that movie theater area, this college was there. So it was very easy for the students to bunk the college, to bunk the classes and go away. They would just walk to the movie theaters and go and sit in the movie theater. The joke used to be, if the teacher has to take the roll call, she will be better off going to the movie theater to take the roll call rather than in her own class. So the students would bunk and go. And they would always ask me, why don't you also come? This is such a boring class. Nothing will happen today. One day we will come to the movie. But I was not doing all those things since I had grown up like this with Swami in my life so closely. There were several reasons. Not because I was such a dharmic and good and obedient girl or anything. I knew that if I do something crazy, then he will catch me when he comes next month to our house for dinner. I had already been, for several things that I had done once or twice, he had already caught me. Once I stopped on the way home. I had to go to the bus stop to go home from college. And I met an old classmate of mine on the way to the bus stop. And she started to talk to me on the sidewalk. And right on the sidewalk, there was a sugarcane stall. I don't know. I'm sure many of you know, in India, they have these sugarcane stalls where you can put the sugarcane through and get the sugarcane juice. It's very nice. So I usually, as soon as college is over, I used to just walk straight to the bus stop and go home. But that particular day, I met this student, an old classmate of mine, and we were talking and she said, come, let's have some sugarcane juice as we talk. So we were chatting for a long time on the sidewalk, drinking sugarcane juice and just catching up with each other. And then she went and I walked to the bus stop. But by the time I came, I had missed all the buses that go to my area in Jainagar. So I had to wait a very long time. And by the time I reached home, my college gets over around 3:45, 4. I didn't reach home till almost 7:45 in the evening. And my mother was anxiously waiting near the gate. Again, like I said, those were the days there is no cell phone to text and say, I'm delayed, I missed the bus or anything like that. She was very anxious by the time I think. And that was on a Friday evening. Saturday, when I went to Brindavan, we used to go on the weekends. The whole Swami used to spend a lot of time in Brindavan in those days because the Bangalore college had just started. He used to spend most of his time in Bangalore. And when I went there, Swami said he was going to come to our house the following day. And he came to our house. And when he went to the next room for dinner, after talking to everybody, he called me and said, what is this? When you go to college, you don't come home straight home. So I said, no, Swami, I come home. That is the mistake. When Swami says anything, we should just listen because he knows everything. He said, no, you didn't come home last 3-4 days. Kamlamma was waiting outside near the gate for you. I said, yes, Swami, I missed the bus. He said, why did you miss the bus? Because it's easy to say, I missed the bus. Why did you miss the bus? So I said, I met a friend. He said, yes, met a friend. If you met a friend, you should give the house address and say, come home one day, give me your address, let us meet at home. Not stand on the sidewalk and talk for 2 hours, drinking that sugarcane juice. I don't know in what water that fellow has washed those cups, standing there, drinking sugarcane juice for hours together, talking, all useless subjects. Here, Kamalamma was so anxious about you. When college is over, you should come home. He had already scolded me. So Yeah. So this was all going on. So my life was very different from my friends, and I was the butt of many jokes. Oh, she's too goody two shoes. She only goes home. She doesn't go. So that one particular day, this, that is why Swami says the company that you keep is so important, because even though you are determined to follow a certain path, if the company is not very good, they can change you from what you're doing. So that particular day, my friend said, look, nothing will happen one day. Nobody will know. We are all going to this movie. You come. They said, some movie. I said, I know, but that particular movie, I was also a teenager. That particular movie was very popular in those days. And the songs of that movie was very, very famous. Some of you may have heard of this movie called Amar Prem. And there was this very famous movie actor called Rajesh Khanna and Sharmila Tagore acting in this movie. And this particular movie was very, very famous because of the songs especially. So they somehow persuaded me. I knew that I was not doing the right thing, but at the same time, I did not want to be different. See, this does not apply only when we are young. Even when we are older, even in this age, many times we are very different from others because we are very particular about how we want to lead our life based on Swami's message. But I was young and forgot intane, kantane, ventane, all that heard the thousands of times. I'm with you, I'm the indweller. Forgot everything. They said, you come to this Amar Prem movie, nothing will happen. Come. So it was not very far. And unfortunately, that day, the teacher, the lady who was supposed to do the lab practical work, she was sick and she didn't come. So they said, no lab today because the teacher didn't. So 2.5 hours we had to wait for the next class, the lab time leader. So they said, this is perfect. 2.5 hours, movie will get over. We'll come back to the class. You're not skipping a class. Nothing will happen. It's not like you're bunking any class. Come. All my friends insisted. So I went to this movie mainly because there was one song in that movie. I don't remember. I don't know Hindi very well. I don't speak Hindi at home. But there was one song called Chingari something, some movie, that movie song was there. I used to like that song, somehow the tune of that. Many of you may have heard it, Chingari Koi something, some song like that. I don't remember. You can imagine this is in the 70s. So I went with them because I wanted to hear that song. Saw the movie, some Amar Prem, Rajesh Khanna, Sharmila. Everything over. This was on some Tuesday. Saturday, Sunday came, movie is over. Nobody came to know I attended the class. I really didn't miss any class. So I didn't even feel guilty about it. Came home, of course, didn't tell my mother what I had done because I know that she'll say, why are you doing all this when you go to college? I kept quiet anyway. Who knows? That weekend, when we were in Vrindavan, Swami called me inside. My mother, I told you my mother was the Karnataka state coordinator. They were doing some training programs all over the state of Karnataka. So Swami wanted to discuss some curriculum, Balavika's curriculum with her. So he called my mother. And some other Balavika's gurus were there. One lady called Sunandamma. All these ladies were there, few people. So Vimala Sheshadri, somebody, he called them. And along with them, he called Professor Kasturi and Professor Goka also. You have all heard these famous names of all these great devotees of Swami. So in the Vrindavan old building, not Trai Vrindavan, we were sitting there. Swami was discussing. He wanted to add some slokas, change some curriculum things, and he was talking. And as he was talking, I was writing down. Every time whenever Swami made any changes with the curriculum, he used to make me the scribe. He used to call me Ganeshi. So I used to write down whatever he was making. So as he was talking, this thing, he said one of the things that we must try to blossom within the child. All these innate 5 qualities are already there. The 5 values are inside the child. We must try to make it come out and blossom into a beautiful lotus. That is why it is called Bala Vikas. Vikas means blossoming. Bala is children. So we must try to do that. He was telling my mother, you must add this story, something was saying. I was busily writing down. And every now and then he would turn to Dr. Sundar Rao, who was the state president of Karnataka at that time, and say, what do you say, Sundar Rao? Do you think this story is good? What do you say, Kasturi? What do you say? And they were all saying, oh, very nice story, Swami, you can do. Suddenly, when I am writing down, Swami said, what do you think? Some story Swami was adding to that, Pundalika or something. So I said, I'll write it down, Swami. How can I tell Swami if it's a good story, bad story? I'll write it down. Then Swami said, no. Geetha Ma, she doesn't think this is the way to ignite all this spark of love and blossom. She likes, she believes in Amara Prema, he said. So I just looked at him, I didn't understand. He said, why, Geetha Ma? You tell them that Amar Prem, you went. He's saying you went to Amar Prem the other day from college, all your friends told you. Now you can imagine my mother's look of shock, because this is some movie that Swami is saying I went to, which he has no idea about. And Professor Gokak and Professor Kasturi and all, they know that I'm doing a lot of Balvika's work. And though I'm still young, but I was doing a lot of Balvika's work. I used to write down everything Swami is saying for all the textbooks. And he's saying he knows. She went to that Amar Prem. What is that Amar Prem? He said, what is that Amar Prem? So Kasturi always used to be Professor Kasturi used to be very funny also. And he said, that is eternal love, Swami. Shashvatamaina prema, Swami. He said in Telugu, that is always permanent, eternal love, Swami. So she went to that movie. Was there eternal love there in that movie, Geetha Ma? What is that Chingari, Koi, something? And Swami started to explain this song, which I had liked, which was the reason I had gone. It is saying, what is this pichi paatlanta vintu? Now you are listening to all these crazy songs. What is that song? If the fire is ignited, the rain can extinguish it. But if the rain catches fire, who will extinguish it? That is the first stanza of that song. Then he says, if the garden is all destroyed in the fall or autumn season, it will all bloom in the spring season. But if the garden is destroyed in the spring season, how will the flowers grow? Idena pichi paatlu, this song you went. So his whole funny way, sarcastic way that he had joked about this movie, it completely changed. What is this? Is the song you went to go there, seeing Amara Premananta, pichi paatlu? And what happened? He said, no prema, nothing. This is why you went. You know what is Amara Prema? He said. By this time, I'm half in tears and these people are all feeling very bad for me because I'm so embarrassed. Of all the people, my mother is ready to just leave her life there. She is so embarrassed. Professor Gokak was a very serious man. He's looking at me. Where did you go from college? That too bunking. He was the Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University at that time. I have skipped the class and gone. And poor Professor Kasturi was very fond of me. He said, no, Swami, maybe only when you go and see that she can listen to a discourse from you, Swami. That is why she went, so that you can tell her what it is. He's trying to make it better for me. Then Swami said, you know, Bangaru, what is Amara Prema? Amara Prema is the spark of faith. First, it has to ignite in your heart. That is the spark of faith. When it is ignited in your heart, then the beautiful flame, it becomes a flame of love. The flame, the light that is ignited in the heart becomes a flame of love. And then what happens? The flame of love, when it comes out, the flame gives out light, isn't it? Jyoti gives out light. Does the light make any difference between man and woman, brother and sister, poor and rich, old and young, caste, creed? Does it see anything? The Jyoti, the lamp, gives light to everybody unconditionally. That is the Jyoti. It doesn't make any difference without any condition. Its nature is to give out love. That is that flame that comes out of the spark of faith, which is ignited in the heart as love. That flame will give light first to the people around it. And then even from a distance, somebody is coming in the pitch dark night. Even from the distance, they can see the glow of this flame from a distance. What is that glow? That glow is the wisdom that one gets when one develops strong and unconditional love towards everything God's creation. That is the wisdom that dawns. And when that wisdom dawns, what do you see? You find Amara Prema within yourself. That is why I call you Prema Swarupalara. I call you, he says, I call you, you are the embodiments of love. That love which is ignited in the heart is the same. It has no conditions. It is that love permeates towards everybody, gives light to everybody. It makes no difference between you or me. And when you find that, you will find me as that spark of love within your heart. That is Amara Prema, not some pichi pichi patlu. He said all these crazy songs. If the fire is ignited, rain will wash it away. If the rain catches fire, who will extinguish the fire? Is that such a thing is possible? And he said, even that, if there is a forest fire, if there is bhakti, when the rain of bhakti and yearning comes down, even in a forest which has caught fire, new crops will grow next year when you have the shower of bhakti and the yearning and the love for the Lord. So that is that Amar Prem that you must develop within your heart, not go and see some crazy movie from the college. So it was easy and loving Swami that I had in my life. I enjoyed his sweetness, watched his sweetness towards others, not only towards Konamma or Lalitamma, but also towards the animals, the deer there in Vrindavan, or of course, our beautiful Sai Geetha that he used to love so much, that Sai Geetha. All of that I watched, but he said, what is that real love? The love that sparks within your heart, which goes out into the world like a flame and lights up everybody around you. And it is an unconditional love without any expectation in return. When you find that love within your heart, that is the prema, that is me residing within you. That is that Amar Prem. So he gave a beautiful connotation to Amar Prem. So as much as it was beautiful to see have Swami in my life, it was also not very easy. It was not very easy because he caught me in everything. But at the same time, he was a strict disciplinarian, as I said in the beginning. He was strict towards me, but he was also a very loving. He was also a very good friend to me. When Swami used to go to Kodaikanal much later, in the late 80s, early 90s, once when I had gone to Puttaparthi with my mother, he said, you come to Kodaikanal. You come there. I'm going tomorrow in 2 days' time. You also come. He said, I had gone to India from the US. So I was very excited and I went there. And my mother and I traveled to Kodaikanal in the car. We went through Madurai and all these places and arrived in Kodaikanal. Of course, we arrived there not knowing what accommodation. We could not find a single hotel to stay because it was a last minute decision since Swami asked. But Swami gave me the room to stay and I stayed there and everything. And he was so loving and wonderful to me. At the end of the visit, after about 4 days, in fact, while I was there, he asked me, have you seen Kodaikanal? I said, many, many years ago, Swami, I have seen it. So he said, you take that Sevadal who is looking after you, you go there is boating. You go for boating and come before evening darshan. It's not very hot. So you can go now and come. And he sent me boating. Then after I spent all my time in Kodaikanal, 4 days, he said, I was leaving to come back to Bangalore. And I told him, Swami, I'm leaving. He gave me Pad Namaskar. And he said, Bangaru, are you going to Madurai and going? I said, yes, from through Madurai only I'm going. So he said, have you seen the Madurai Meenakshi temple? Again, I said many years ago, Swami, I have not gone there recently. He said, you go to the temple, you have darshan, and when you come out of the entrance, if you make a right turn, there is a Madurai a society, Madurai society, Sari society or something. It's on the right hand side. Don't go to any other shop. You go to this Madurai society. There they have very beautiful cotton saris. You buy some cotton saris for yourself and Amma, that was my mother. You buy for her and you enjoy the saris and you take, because Madurai is known for saris, you know. You buy the saris, you go. I said, okay, Swami, I'll buy. He was helping me to do my shopping also. And then as I took Pad Namaskar and he gave me the vibhuti, he said, only 2 saris. 2 saris for you, 2 saris for Amma. Don't buy more than that, unnecessarily wasting money. So that was my guru. You enjoy whatever you do that, but in moderation, with the knowledge that this is a God-given gift. Remember that, don't overdo that, and you enjoy that. Buy only 2. In fact, this is one of the saris I had bought there in Madurai. So he said, you buy 2 saris and you go. And he sent me shopping also in Madurai. So that is our sweet Swami, living with Swami, but learning along with it, enjoying the sweetness, but learning, sealing on desire. Going to Amar Prem movie without my mother's knowledge, but understanding what is the meaning of the word Amar Prem, not Rajesh Khanna and Sharmila Tagore, understanding that. Konamma, why did Swami, I'm sure many of you may have thought, why didn't Swami just cure her in Puttaparthi? Why bring her to Bangalore in that pain? Why be the anesthesiologist when he himself could have been the surgeon? Why? I'm sure these questions have come in your mind, but it is for us to learn. He came here to teach us. So he protected her. Maybe she had to go through some of her karmas of pain. He protected her, came with her, sat with her, fed her, gave her coffee, and then went to Brindavan. But why? She was a poor lady. She was not a rich woman. She was not a famous woman. But she was devoted and served Swami without fail. 2 o'clock in the morning, getting up and boiling the water, cleaning the plates that Swami and the dishes that were used for Swami's food. For tirelessly for years, without a sound. Nobody even remembered her. 2 saris a year. And Swami really blessed me by saying, buy 2 saris here in Madurai. She used to get 2 saris by Swami. So as I enjoyed the sweetness, I also saw what it is that how one should lead our life. So with these words, I think my time is up. I will end my talk today. I hope I gave you a glimpse of this beautiful Swami, whom we see gliding across, when even now in the videos, we see him gliding across. This beautiful Swami who served every single day of his life. He used to just serve all of us, whether it was being there to give darshan, give Pad Namaskar, take the letters, listen to our problems. That is in the physical presence. Imagine all the problems we convey to him in our prayer rooms. That Swami who served all of us without a single day's holiday. That Swami, if we can emulate him even a little bit, I think thinking of him during Aradhana Day, thinking of him during his birthdays, and celebrating all these functions will have some meaning to it. He also told me how to lead my life, and I will say this one thing and I will end. He gave me many years ago, he asked me to give a small, this was when I was 10 years old, this is in 1969. See, this is the piece, the newspaper cutting Swami gave me. So he has written my name there, Geetha 1969. This is actually in 1969. When the Vice President of India was coming to Bangalore, and Swami in those days, the college boys and all were not there. So Swami asked me, he was just sitting there in Vrindavan, tomorrow Jati is coming, you give a talk on non-violence. So I went home and my mother and father helped me to write something on non-violence, just like we help our SSC students. And I mugged it up so that I can go and say that. When I went there the following day, Swami said, are you ready? By that time, I was shaking and I was scared because along with the Vice President of India, so many people had come, the governor had come, so many people had come. And I started to get scared and I started to cry and tell my mother, I don't want to talk, I don't want to talk. So Swami came to the inner room where I was, and why are you crying? You should be ready to talk. So my mother said, she's saying she won't talk. Swami, she's very scared. Then he said, why? Didn't you prepare? And I showed him the paper. I had mugged up everything. I by-hearted all this. Swami took one look, and to make matters worse, he said, oh, inta matladtava, you are going to speak this much? He said, I told you to speak on non, so much you are going to speak. So then he said, what is non-violence? So as a small child, 1969, I said, Swami, if somebody hits you, you should not hit anybody. You should not say bad things. Oh, if you hit somebody, they will hit you back. That's why you are non-violent. If you say bad things, they will also say bad things. That's not non-violence. Non-violence means in the mind, in the heart, you must not have any bad thoughts. That is non-violence. And that is the way you should practice non-violence. Do you know how non-violence starts? It starts with a smile, Bangaru. If you smile at somebody, that itself makes the other person happy. They won't say anything. They will smile back at you. And he went to the inner room and he brought this newspaper cutting for me. And he said, you read this. That is non-violence. That's all, he said. And I don't know if you can all see, but it's a newspaper cutting which it has been underlined. Can you imagine Swami having a newspaper cutting? And at the bottom it says, author unknown. So that is what he gave me so many years ago. I have framed it, but I have printed it out so that I don't have to take it out. I'll read it to you as the beautiful thing to learn from Swami before I leave. It says, smile. A smile costs nothing, but gives much. It enriches those who receive without making poorer those who give. It takes but a moment, but the memory of it will last forever. None is so rich or mighty that he can get along without it. And none is so poor that he cannot be made rich by it. A smile creates happiness in the home, fosters goodwill in business, and is the countersign of friendship, and it brings rest to the weary, cheer to the discouraged, and sunshine to the sad. It's nature's best antidote for trouble. Yet, it cannot be bought, begged, or borrowed, or even stolen, for it is something that is of no value to anyone until it is given away. Some people are too tired to give you a smile. Give them one of yours, as none needs a smile so much as the one who has no more to give. So he gave me this newspaper cutting and he said, this is non-violence. You smile, that is enough. Everybody will become your friend. Everybody will love you. Just start with a smile. And then he said, you're a girl. If you smile, you won't get too many wrinkles when you get old. He told me you won't get too many wrinkles when you get old. So this is this beautiful Swami, this loving Swami that I saw and grew up. But you may all feel that you were indeed fortunate, and I was. I don't want to negate that. But he, our beloved Swami, has promised all of us that he's with each and every one of us. And in fact, I saw the thought for the day on April 17th, and this is what the thought for the day was. It says, you cannot see me, but I am the light by which you see. You cannot hear me, but I am the sound by which you hear. You cannot know me, but I am the truth by which you live. So we all see, we all hear, we all talk, and we are all living. And it is only possible because he is that spark of Amara Prema within us. So with these few words, I thank all of you for giving me this opportunity to remember my sweet and beloved Swami and sharing these memories with you by going back down memory lane. You have really created an opportunity for me to relive those beautiful moments. So thank you all very much. I really do thank all of the people who organized this program today. And Sai Ram to all of you. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, thank you. Thank you so very, very much. Can we get a virtual round of applause for our speaker? Thank you very much. uh, yes. Yes. Now we'll move on to the questions and answers section of the portion. So if anybody has a question, we will ask them to type them into the chat dialogue. You can do that on YouTube as well, or on Zoom here. We have our first question. Is First question. You yourself, as an educator, in today's world where we are facing a global pandemic, everyone is glued to social media. Having lived with Swami, what kind of parenting advice would you give young parents who are watching the program today?
The children will do what we do. That's all I have to say. I remember that if we watched television when my children were young, I had no way of telling them not to do it. So if the children constantly see us continuously looking at our phones, checking our messages with no time to see, at some point you can say it's my work call, it's my work message, my boss message, but children are not foolish. They know what the time of day is. So if we want our children to practice a restricted amount of time that we want to let them, we want them to watch TV or any kind of social media, then we ourselves have to be disciplined in what we do. That is what Swami says. Unless we show the children by our own example, they are not going to listen to what we have to say because they see us. So unless we change our own lifestyles, unless we ourselves reduce the amount of things that we watch, then it is going to be very difficult to tell the children. So if we want our children to practice certain disciplines, then we ourselves should be practicing them. This is what Swami told me when I was raising my sons here in the US.
Awesome. Very makes total logical sense. Thank you. Next question we have is if you have any advice for our Balvika students or our SSE students.
For the children, Swami always says, your first and foremost duty is not to hurt your parents. You have to respect and love your parents, even if they say things to you that doesn't make sense to you. And as that young man just said, it makes logical sense just now when I said something. But sometimes the things that parents say at that moment, it may not make logical sense. But they are the only two people in this world who love you for whatever you are, however you are, whatever you do, mistakes you make, they will still, at the end of the day, they love you. And whatever they tell you, they only tell out of love. So to the children, Swami says, first and foremost, never hurt your parents. Because if you hurt your parents, the Lord of the universe will not come to your help. If you love your parents, He will also love you. So if we want to win the grace of God, if we want to have God's help with us in everything, whether it is exams that we are taking or we want to get into a good college, whatever may be, if we are respectful and loving to our parents, then the grace of God will always be upon the children.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Next question we have. How do you share love with someone who you don't get along with?
Yes, very difficult, isn't it? In fact, I remember an incident in the interview room. Swami was explaining about this love again. My children were there, my husband was there. This was in the later years when we were visiting India from here. And Swami was talking about love and how we must develop. That is the strongest thing that one can develop within. And I actually asked this question. I said, Swami, how do you develop love? It's not easy to love everyone. It's not easy to love everyone, I said. So Swami said, why? You have so much love for me. Visualize me in them. Then you will love them. If I'm sitting there in their heart, in their chair, Visualize me there. And I said, no, Swami, but with some people, I feel like saying, Swami, why are you sitting in that chair? Get down and come to a different chair. I feel like saying that. So Swami said, that is because your vision is not clear. You have got a cataract in your eyes. You are only looking at the faults in that person. When you stop looking at their faults and start looking at your own faults, then you will see me in everyone's heart. So before you find fault with someone else, before you criticize and before you say, how can this person, how can I love them? You first look at yourself and say, I have so many faults. How can I criticize that other person? When you start reducing your faults within you, automatically that person's faults also will look very minimal to you. Slowly you develop love. It is not something I can certainly say from my own experience that we can all develop love for everyone overnight. It is a practice that we have to follow. When we make a mistake, when we dislike somebody, when we criticize somebody, immediately we have to think, oh, but Swami is in that person. Why am I criticizing Swami so much? So we have to this is what is called Nididhyasam. We have Shravanam, which is what we are all doing. We are listening. Mananam, when you go home today, you will think, oh, this is what Geetha auntie said. Some of these points I liked, some I didn't understand. But you will think about it. You will introspect about it. Then if there is one teaching of Swami's or something that you really hits the core of your heart, you must start practicing it. Unless we do that, and Swami gives many tools. He says, do namasmaran, do seva. When you see a lot of other people who don't have as much as you, then compassion wells up within you and slowly you develop love. But it has to be practiced. It doesn't happen overnight.
Very thoughtful answer. Thank you. Next question is, what was your first experience with Swami and how old were you?
My memory goes back till since when I was like about 3 or 4 years old, because I remember coming back from Puttaparthi to Bangalore with my father, my brother and my mother, and Swami came with another person in the car, and there was no room because my mother and father were in the front seat and Swami and that other person was there. My brother sat in the middle. So Swami made me sit on his lap all the way from Puttaparthi to Bangalore. And I remember I was 3.5 or so. And I remember my father continuously looking at me and glaring at me in the rear view mirror, because I had short hair, and every time I moved or fidgeted, my hair would hit Swami's face and my father would glare at me to stop moving. And Swami would keep telling my father, Padmanabh, just look in the front and drive. Don't worry about it. I am okay. I'm okay. So that is one of the sweetest memories I have of traveling from Parthi to Bangalore, sitting on Swami's lap all the way. But one other really wonderful memory is when I was a young girl. I was about 8 years old. And an old aunt who lived in Puttaparthi came to our house. Swami sent her from there because she needed cataract surgery. And she did not want to come. She had so much faith in Swami, but she stayed in our house. Swami said, you go and get it. When the doctor said that she needed surgery, she wanted to go back to Puttaparthi again and get blessings because her vibhuti had finished, which Swami had materialized. And my father said, we can't go all the way and come back. Your surgery date has been fixed. So that evening, when my parents were out of the house and she was grumbling about the fact that she could not go and get Swami's, it was not grumbling actually. She was very worried that the doctor would make her lose her eyes unless she had the vibhuti and blessings of Swami. Her faith and devotion in Swami was very strong. So she kept on telling me, I was a small girl, 8 years old, and she was saying, I wish your father would take me. I wish your mother would take me. I will lose my eyes. When the phone in our house rang, and in those days, there used to be one phone in the house. So when I picked up the phone, she was sitting in the living room of my father's house. And I picked up the phone and I said, hello. And it said that there was a trunk call, which means it's a long distance call from Bukkapatnam. And I said, okay. And then suddenly on the other end of the phone, it was Swami's voice saying, Geetha, and I immediately recognized Swami's voice. And he said, is the old lady complaining? So I kept quiet. And he said, put her on the phone. when she came to the phone, he assured her, don't worry, I will be there with you. You get the surgery done. But this lady, an old lady of the old times, she was talking so loudly, even without the phone, Swami could hear in Bukkapatnam, I think. No, Swami, I don't have vibhuti. I don't want all this eye operation and all that. And Swami said, give the phone to Geetha. So she gave, he said, see, maybe he'll tell you to tell Padmanabh to take me back to Parthi. And Swami on the phone said, is there a piece of paper nearby? There was a newspaper. And I said, Swami, there is just newspaper. He said, you bring it and put the phone on that. And when I put the phone on the newspaper, from the receiver, the other end of the receiver, there was a whoosh, sound, and a mound of vibhuti came onto the newspaper. And I was so shocked and awestruck. I just stood there staring at it and then slowly picked up the phone. And I said, Swami, and he said, Vachinda, did you get it? I said, yes, Swami, there is vibhuti here. He said, you give it to the old lady. You tell Padmanabh and Kamalamma when they come, my Ashirvadam is there, my blessings are there, my blessings for you also. He said, Untanu. He said, I'll keep the phone down. He put the phone down. So this was the first experience for me where I saw a fantastic, awesome, as you all use here in the Western world, we say awesome for pizza. But this is the where we have to use the word awesome, I think. Awesome pizza, my son said. But this was an awesome experience for an 8-year-old child because I knew that this was not something that ordinarily happened. And I became the heroine for a few days and narrated this over and over and over again to all the relatives. And after the excitement was over, I started to think, what is this? What made him come? Because I knew from Puttaparthi to Bukkapatnam, where there was only one phone in the post office, Swami had taken the trouble to come from Prashanti Nilayam to Bukkapatnam to make this phone call. There was no telephone in Puttaparthi. And he had made this. What was it? What drew him to this old lady? And I knew that you can draw him to yourself if you have bhakti and faith, Shraddha. If you have these two things, wherever he is, you can draw him to you with the intensity of your love and prayer. That I understood at the age of 8.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I believe we are done with the questions for now. But what I can definitely say is I'm sure everyone on this call agrees with me that was a truly inspirational talk. And it was so sweet and very loving, the memories that you shared and the stories that you shared, and just the way that you spoke about your stories and how you spoke about them. It was truly great, and I loved all 1 hour of it, 20 minutes. Thank you so much. We will move on to the vote of thanks by our president, Winnipeg Sai Center President, Brother Niranjan. Thank you.
Om Sai Ram, everyone. Want to say just a few words. Thank you so much, Sister Geetha. It was a very nice talk. Hearing the stories and the close connection that you had with Swami certainly has brought us all a little closer to Swami. I was given this task of giving thanks, but where do I start? To do a program like this, it takes the collective cooperation of many, many individuals. So it's like, first, sincerely thank our education coordinators, our devotional coordinators for working with the children to make this program very special. It is always like hearing our youngest speak and to sing always sweetens the program for us. And so thank you to all of those who put everything together. I think everyone would agree it turned out very well. I would like to thank all of our Canadian Sai National Executive members who have joined here today. It was very nice to see everyone on the call as the talk was happening. We can seeing the number of people from across Canada. So it was very nice for our region to see people from across the country come to listen. And actually one funny coincidence is that the peak number of total viewers was 108. No coincidence. So to our dear sister Geetha, thank you so much for your talk today. I can safely say I am not going to stop at any sugarcane stand next time I visit India. But there are so many things that we heard in your talk today that I think we can all collectively feel and say that we're going to feel much more enlightened because of the stories you've shared. And we're all going to feel a little bit lighter when we get up from our chairs and our couches and think about all the little stories you've shared and the main aspect of how to share Swami's love, which was certainly highlighted throughout your talk. Of course, all of this is only possible because of the blessings of our dear Bhagavan, Sri Sathya Sai Baba. As we all know, nothing can happen without the divine grace of the Supreme Consciousness. So with that, I'd like to just thank everyone for joining. I'd like to thank all the devotees across Canada who have joined and who have made this program a success and made it very enjoyable. So the program is going to conclude with a bhajan and arti. So what I would like to do is just pass it back to Sachin, who will take us to the end of the program. So Jai Sai Ram, everyone, and have a great rest of the weekend and have a safe and happy week ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Sai Ram. Yes, as we mentioned, we'll move on to the Sarva Dharma Bhajan. This was done by our very own Vijayanti at the Winnipeg Science Center, and it is pre-recorded bhajan, I believe, using Star Munch. So it's if anybody's interested to download the app Star Munch, that has a bunch of karaoke of Sathya Sai Baba bhajans, so you can use that in your virtual time. So we'll go with that.
सत्य धर्म शांति प्रेम स्वरूपा प्रशांति निलया देवा सत्य धर्म शांति प्रेम स्वरूपा प्रशांति निलया देवा सत्य धर्म शांति प्रेम स्वरूपा प्रशांति निलया देवा रामा हो कृष्णा हो साई राम देवा रामा हो कृष्णा हो साई राम देवा तुम रामा हो कृष्णा हो साई राम देवा सत्य धर्म शांति प्रेम स्वरूपा प्रशांति निलया देवा सत्य धर्म शांति प्रेम स्वरूपा प्रशांति निलया देवा शिव शक्ति स्वरूपा बाबा हे दीन पालना बाबा शिव शक्ति स्वरूपा बाबा हे दीन पालना बाबा शिव शक्ति स्वरूपा बाबा हे दीन पालना बाबा हे प्रशांति निलया बाबा हे पूर्णवतारा बाबा प्रशान्ति निलया बाबा हे पूर्णवतारा बाबा अल्लाह हो मौला हो साई राम देवा अल्लाह हो मौला हो साई राम देवा सत्य धर्म शांति प्रेम स्वरूपा प्रशांति निलया देवा रामा हो कृष्णा हो साई राम देवा सत्य धर्म शांति प्रेम स्वरूपा प्रशांति निलया देवा शिव शक्ति स्वरूपा बाबा हे दीन पालना बाबा हे प्रशांति निलया बाबा हे पूर्णवतारा बाबा अल्लाह हो मौला हो साई राम देवा तुम अल्लाह हो मौला हो साई राम देवा सत्य धर्म शांति प्रेम स्वरूपा प्रशांति निलया देवा
Now we'll move on to closing prayers and Sarvadharma prayer by our SSC students from our Saskatoon region. Sarah.
May the love we're sharing spread its wings, fly across the earth, and bring new joy to every being that is alive. May the love we're sharing spread its wings, fly across the earth, and bring new joy to every being that is alive. Samastaloka sukhino bhavantu. Samastaloka sukhino bhavantu. May all the beings in all the worlds be happy. May all the beings in all the worlds be happy. May the grace of God flow to our hearts, revealing all as one and bringing peace to every soul that is alive. May the grace of God flow to our hearts, revealing all as one and bringing peace to every soul that is alive. Samastaloka sukhino bhavantu. Samastaloka sukhino bhavantu. May all the beings in all the worlds be happy. May all the beings in all the worlds be happy.
All praise to you, Lord of the world, Swami Satya Sai, our Lord. You protect devotees who cling to you. Show your mercy to us who sing to you, knowing you are God in human form. All praise to you, Lord of the world. With captivating grace and loveliness, you do everything to bring us happiness. You're aware of all through infinite consciousness. You are master of every living thing. For devotees, your wish fulfilling, helping us when we are in distress. All praise to you, Lord of the world. Mother, Father, Teacher, and Lord, you remind us there is only one, not two. Swamis, there is truly no one else but you. Master of creation, you are adored. People of all nations are striving toward realization of our true reward. Our unity with you, Lord of the world. You are the Word of God, pure and bright, the embodiment of all true and right. Satya Sai, fill our hearts with pure delight. Do accept our prayer and heed us. From darkness we can't bear, please lead us. With your might you make our burdens light. All praise to you, Lord of the world. Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana 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 Om Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om. All praise to our teacher divine. Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana 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 Om Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om. All praise to our teacher divine. Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana 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 Om Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om. All praise to our teacher divine. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Paramam Pavitram Baba Vibhutim Paramam Vichitram Leela Vibhutim Paramartha Ishtartha Moksha Pradakam Baba Vibhutim Idamashayami. Sacred, holy, and supreme is Baba's Vibhuti, pouring forth in brilliant stream display of vibhuti. So auspicious is its might, it grants liberation. Baba's vibhuti, its power protects me. Paramam pavitram Baba vibhutim, paramam vichitram leela vibhutim. Paramartha Ishtartha Moksha Pradatam Baba Vibhutim Idamashayami. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Bolo Bhagavan Shri Satya Sai Baba Ji ki Jai.
That concludes our program for this afternoon. Thank you so much for coming out and joining us in this special April 18th afternoon. Obvious big thank you to our sister and Auntie Geetha Mohanram, sorry. It was a pleasure to hear you speak, and I'm sure all of us enjoyed it as much as I did. So thank you so much, and thank you to all the SSC students in Winnipeg and Saskatoon for the ending and closing, and thank you to all the organizing community for organizing this event. And that's pretty much it. This is where the cutoff music usually comes into handy, and I'll stop my speech now and go on mute. Thank you so much.